Welcome back to the channel. This is Michael from TOEFLresources.com, and today I want to talk about TOEFL speaking question 3 on the new version of the TOEFL. Yes, as of August 1st, 2019, the TOEFL has changed. And this video series, I hope, will get you ready for that new version of the TOEFL. So let's get started by talking about what's going to be in today's video. First up, I'm going to talk about the structure of the third TOEFL speaking question. After that, I'm going to talk a little bit about how to take good notes for this question. I'm going to give you an answer template you can use when answering the question. I'm going to give you a few special tips and tricks that will bring your answer to the next level. I'm going to give you a complete sample answer. And at the end of the video, I'm going to talk for a couple minutes about how this question is actually graded. So, first up, the question structure. Now, it's really important for you to understand the structure of this question because ETS, the creators of the TOEFL, seem to use the same structure week after week after week. So if you can understand the patterns they use when making the question, you'll have a much easier time actually answering it on test day. So here's what you need to know. In this question, you will first see a short reading on the screen. This will be about 100 words in length. This will be about some academic term, some process, or some other general academic idea. Now, this can be about any academic subject, but according to my research, the most common topics are biology, psychology, and business. That's not a promise, that's not a guarantee, but those are the three most common subjects here. The reading will be given a clear title. It will have 1 to 3 sentences that introduced this topic, and then 3 to 5 sentences that give you a bit more information about it. You're going to get 45 or 50 seconds to read it. After that, the reading will disappear from the screen, and you will hear a short lecture from about a minute to about a minute and a half about the same term, process, or idea. This lecture will contain either 1 or 2 examples of this term, process, or idea. So it's going to be giving you examples of what you just read about. Now, the example or examples might actually be from the personal life of the speaker, so be prepared for that little wrinkle. Note that if there is just one example, it's probably going to have 2 fairly clear parts, like a before and after part or a cause and effect part. That's important to remember because it will affect how you structure your answer. But I'll talk about that when I give you a template in a few minutes. Now, after you finish listening to the lecture, the question prompt will appear on the screen, and it'll probably look something like one of these ones here. Maybe something like describe what such and such is and how the professor's example illustrates this phenomenon. Or describe how the example of the whatever illustrates the concept of whatever. Or even just simply using the examples from the lecture, explain the concept of whatever. And the whatever in these cases refers to the term or the concept from the reading. So basically, the prompt asks you to describe the concept from the reading and to summarize the examples from the lecture. You will be given 30 seconds to prepare and 60 seconds to actually speak. So, as an illustration today, I'm going to use a question from the TOEFL Quick Prep Collection, specifically from Volume 2, page 29. It's the one about revealing coloration. Now, I will put a link down in the video description to the Quick Prep Collection. That's a document published by ETS. And so I do encourage you to check it out. It just has the reading and it has the lecture transcript. And if you can read along as I show you my answer, I think the video will be more useful to you. So, first up, in answering a question, you need to take some notes. As you are reading the reading part, you got to take some notes. And as you are listening to the listening part, you got to take some more notes. But what kind of notes should you take? Well, take a look at the screen here. On the left, I've got my reading notes. Broadly speaking, I took 3 kinds of notes. First, I just made a quick note about the main topic of the reading. This might even be stated in the title of it. I noted that the topic is revealing coloration. That's all I need at first. Next, I made a note of the primary definition, and that comes at the beginning of the reading usually. And I noted that the primary definition of this is that revealing coloration is the use of colors by animals to protect themselves from predators. Next, I took a note about the extra details given in the reading, and these are usually like in the second half of the reading part. The detail in this case is that they suddenly reveal a bright color to confuse predators and escape. Now that's about all I need in terms of reading notes. I really want to emphasize the reading is the least important part of your answer, so you don't need a ton of notes. On the other hand, the lecture is the most important part of your answer, so you want to get as many notes as you can. Do your very best here. But again, what kind of notes? Well, first up, you want to get notes about the first example given. Or, in the case of a single example, notes from the first part of the example. In this case, the lecture has 2 distinct examples, so I started with the first one. I just noted, well, the first example is the peanut bug. In this case, I got more details about how the front wings blend in with its surroundings usually, but its back wings have colorful spots. Then I noted these back wings are usually closed, but when it's attacked, it opens these wings to startle its predators and escape. You can see how this is clearly an example of revealing coloration as described in the reading. Secondly, I took notes about the second example. I started by noting that it's the morpho butterfly which is mentioned as an example. I said that parts of its wings are shiny and reflect light. These are hidden when it rests, and when a bird approaches it, it flaps its wings to reflect light and confuse the bird so it gets away. Again, this is a perfect example of revealing coloration as described in the reading. So the reading and the lecture really match up tightly. That's an important part of the structure of these questions. Now, you might not get notes that are quite as good as mine or quite as detailed as mine, but you want to get as much detail as you can from each of the examples. Basically, all the details are relevant from the examples. There's nothing you really need to leave out, so just get as much as you can and use as much as you can of it in your answer. This will take practice. I do encourage you to answer as many practice questions as humanly possible before you take the test. Practice will make your note-taking a lot easier. I promise. That's guaranteed. Practice makes perfect. So, in this case, I do want to remind you that the prompt of the question is, using the examples of the peanut bug and the morpho butterfly, explain the concept of revealing coloration. So, answering the question. Well, if you've seen any of my videos, you know that I do love templates for answers. And in this case, you can use a 5-part template. How does it go? Well, it's on the screen here. First of all, you state the topic. This goes a bit like this. Topic, revealing coloration in this case, is defined as, and then you just mention the primary definition fairly quickly. Next up, give the reading detail from your notes. The reading states that, then just say what it states. Next up, use a transition. The lecturer elaborates on this by providing an example or 2 examples. I do want to mention that usually it's 2 clear examples. Sometimes it's that single example with 2 parts. Next, you mention the first example or the first part. Something like, first of all, he mentions, or she mentions. Lastly, you just mention the second example or the second part. In addition, he says, and then use your notes. Make this part as long as you can. If you're a very quick speaker, just include all the details from your notes. If you are a slower speaker, you might not get everything from your notes. But again, just keep practicing so you can speak as quickly as possible. All of those notes, all of those details are likely relevant, and all of them are probably something you should include. Now, before I give you my sample answer, I want to mention a few tips and tricks to bring your answer to the next level. These are the same kind of tricks I've given you in my other videos, but I'll repeat them here. I want you to use discourse phrases like as a result, or consequently, or moreover, therefore, however, in addition. Those kind of things link your ideas, makes your answer a lot more sophisticated. Use them, please. Next, just spend between 10 and 13 seconds talking about the reading. The summary of the reading is the least important part of your answer. You really want to emphasize your summary of the lecture. So don't talk too much about the reading. If you are a slow speaker, cut out the giving detail part of the template. If you need more time, cut out the transition part of the template. Next, I want you to create some compound sentences, again, to link ideas and to show off your grammar skills. I'll give you a couple examples of those when I show you the answer in a moment. And again, as I said, most of your score comes from the lecture summary. As many details as you can, they're all relevant. So here is our sample answer. Again, I'm following the template I just gave you. I start by stating the topic. Revealing coloration is defined as the way animals use colors to protect themselves from predators. Just following the template. Next up, I'm giving the detail. The reading states that some animals suddenly reveal a bright color to confuse predators and escape. Again, I'm following the template. I'm using the notes. Next is my transition. The lecturer elaborates on this by providing two examples. I give my first reason. First of all, he mentions that the front wings of the peanut bug blend in with the environment, but its back wings have very colorful spots. These back wings are usually closed, but when it is attacked, it quickly opens them to startle the predator while it escapes. I'll draw your attention to the fact here that I used a compound sentence with the conjunction but. That makes my grammar look a little bit better, a little bit more sophisticated, and it will increase my score, hopefully. And then the last part of the template, I give the second reason. Secondly, he says that parts of the morpho butterfly's wings are very shiny and can reflect sunlight. These parts are usually hidden. However, when a bird approaches, it flaps its wings to reflect light and confuse the bird. The bird can only see the light reflected from the wings, and therefore the butterfly is able to get away. And I'll draw your attention to the fact that I used however and therefore as discourse phrases to link my ideas and make my answer a bit more sophisticated. And that basically is all you have to do for this TOEFL speaking question. The template should work most of the time. The only tricky part is if you get that single example and you need to divide it into two separate parts. That could be a bit more challenging, but again, with practice, it will get easier. Just look for cause and effect. Look for before and after kind of situations. Those are the clear division points. All right, before I close out the video, I want to talk a little bit about how this question is actually graded. And as I've said in my other videos, I'm going to make a full-length 20-minute video about this topic in a few days, so I'll keep my comments brief here. But basically, you get a score from 1 to 4 on the following 3 areas: delivery, language use, and topic development. Now, these are, I think, equal in value. That is, they're weighted the same way, but there is overlap, right? If you mess up really badly on language use, it probably will affect your topic development. Likewise, if your delivery is quite poor, it'll have a negative effect on your language use and topic development. So nothing is really graded in isolation. But briefly, delivery refers to how easily the grader can understand you. It's okay to have a strong accent, but if your accent is so strong that the grader needs to make an extra effort to comprehend what you're saying, you're probably going to lose points. Likewise, if you have a lot of long pauses where you have to stop and think, that's going to affect the quality of your delivery and it will lower your score. So you want to be speaking at a nice smooth pace without any long unnecessary pauses. Next up, language use. That's really your grammatical correctness and the correctness of your vocabulary. So study your grammar, study your vocabulary if you want that score to go up. Topic development refers to the accuracy of your details and whether or not you're actually answering the question. So you got to have an accurate summary of what revealing coloration is, and you need to accurately talk about how the examples actually demonstrate what revealing coloration is. So again, that's really probably the most challenging part of this question type, but just keep practicing. If you have any questions about how to develop your topic, leave one down below. I'll answer it as quickly as I can. So that's all for today's lesson. If you want to get more from me, just subscribe to the channel. I try to upload videos about once a week. But if you want more detailed and more comprehensive stuff, check me out at TOEFLresources.com. That's my website, and it has guides to every single question type and all the parts of the test. The best part of the website, I think, is the fact that you can sign up to have your essays or practice speaking tests graded and evaluated by me. Costs a little bit of money, but it's a service that a lot of students really seem to like. So check it out. I'll leave it at that. But again, if you have any questions, leave a comment down below. I will answer them as quickly as humanly possible. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.